and get Oz involved, and it's going to get done so quickly. And you guys did a great job. Would you like to say something else?
Mr. President, I want to thank Mansoor, who's hiding in the back there, who actually on Sunday wrote a draft for this. You already thanked Heidi and Kelly, but Susie Wiles makes everything run here. This was an unimaginable task in 1 week to be able to go from a series of connections and communications with Joe Rogan through the honey badger of them all, Bobby Kennedy, who said, we're not going to stop. We didn't start calling everyone down the bike. Steph Spear's been involved, and Chris Klump, who's been doing a fantastic job, helping run everything in great efficiency, made something. I just want to emphasize this. This is an entire paradigm shift away from a one-day-a-pill model, which has failed so many. And to the many who are drug resistant that Joe just spoke to, this offers them a way of getting out of that rut. The question now is, can we study why it works to understand it better, to use it better? That's what Jay Bhattacharya is going to do, NIH with major funding support, perhaps some ARPA as well. Marty spoke eloquently about the FDA's accelerated pathway for this. And then we're going to, when we learn more, figure out better ways of getting access to these products through our healthcare system. This is an extraordinarily exciting day, and it would never happen if the president just would not take no for an answer. He called on the way Joe to the fight on Saturday, and I think he was as determined to get this done as the men in those rings and women in those rings that night. Thank you, sir.
They are determined.
I want to thank Professor Nolan Williams. When I was a professor at Stanford, I got to know him, and he taught me about ibogaine and all the promise that it has for treatment-resistant depression and so many other conditions. Frankly, for me, I learned a lot. He unfortunately passed away last year. I want to thank this amazing team that just moved heaven and earth to get things done. I do want to emphasize this is something that we're still studying, and we have to keep studying. We have to figure out the right way to like make sure we administer it, that it's safe, that we don't just take it for granted. We already know everything, because we don't. And for the NIH and for ARPA-H, we are absolutely committed to making sure that we keep studying it, keep getting the best gold standard science on it. You see here Nora Volkow, who's my National Institute of Drug Abuse director. She's been an absolute hero in just developing scientific, so the commitment for American science to focus on this, and in many ways, it's that scientific advance that brought us to this moment. So thank you, President Trump.
But if it's good, we want to get it fully approved fast, right?
I mean, for the things that have great evidence, and that's what
these studies, they're going for a long time, and if it's good. I mean, I have a witness right here. These two incredible brothers. That to me is a study, right?
I mean, it's just as Commissioner McCary said, there's stuff that we know and we can tell it works. We still got to figure out somehow how it works or why it works. That we got to keep doing even as we move forward fast.
But it does work.
Some of those, I mean, absolutely. Some of those treatments absolutely work.
Yes, it works.
Here.
It works.
I'm trying to get the answer because it either works or it doesn't. I would think that there's been a lot of research already, indirect research, maybe the ultimate research, people that have taken it, because I've spoken to people that have taken it, aside from the trail, both of them. I've spoken to 5 people that had big problems.
Done it 3 times.
Yeah,
it works. It fixed my demonic relationship.
This is Rob O'Neill, who's a friend of mine and a great guy. Go ahead.
It fixed my demonic relationship with alcohol. It saved my life, and then it saved my wife. So every day's a blessing. It took about 3 years of. I did it 3 times. It's a different adventure every time. That's not fun.
So without it, you would have had problems.
I did it with. There was a Green Beret, 28-year sergeant major, that told me when we finished, make sure you tell Amber Capone, the CEO of Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, that she saved my life because I was going to kill myself next week. This was my last chance. I had a 28-year veteran tell me that. This works.
Okay. Good.
Mr. President,
yes.
you asked Marcus to speak about his experience.
Thank you, Secretary. Yeah, Mr. President, what Rob O'Neill's talking about, my wife Amber Capone is the CEO of our charity Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. We had prayed for this day to come 10 years ago when we started the charity. We've been sending veterans outside the country, Joe, that you've been talking about for years, several thousand now, and we said the mission will end once this day happens, so we believe this is a huge step in maybe that the mission goes away, and now we have affordable access right here in the U.S.
Why didn't they get it done?
We're getting it done right. You're getting it done.
Yeah. Why yet are the presidents looking at it? Why didn't they get it done?
I think we needed you.
That's my job. I can answer that question, sir.
Go ahead, please.
there's a small group of us in the House that have been trying to move legislation since I showed up. Mr. Correa, Mr. Bergman, Mr. McCall, Mr. Crenshaw, every year have tried to move legislation. That side of the room is not going to like what I have to say about this. And
got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders. They have no nothing. Actually, their leaders are, it is regime change. You call that enforced regime change. But we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the strait again, you know, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us. In fact, a lot of the ships are coming up to Texas. I don't know if you know, in Louisiana, the ships are coming up. They got used to it. Maybe they'll keep doing it. It's worked out pretty good. But it's going actually along very well. And we'll see. But we'll have some information by the end of the day. We're talking to them. And, you know, we're taking a tough stand. They've killed a lot of people. A lot of our people have been killed. A lot of your fellow soldiers have been killed over the years by Iran. The roadside bomb. Soleimani, I killed Soleimani.
Thank you for that. He was making the explosive form penetrators. They're making them in Iran, bringing them to Iraq, and blasting through the vehicles.
Well, he was the father of the roadside bomb, essentially, and he killed a lot of people. And when you see soldiers or others, but soldiers generally walking around with no legs, with no arms, a face that's been smashed, that was Soleimani, that was Iran that did that. So we have a much different view on it than other presidents. They've gotten away with murder for 47 years. They're not getting away with it anymore. Does anybody have any questions with the great professionals? Please.
So I wanted to know, could this potentially ever be available through the VA? You know, because I was talking to Liz over here. You guys went down to Mexico together, but it's really expensive, and this is another drug that's expensive.
We have the right guy, Oz.
A
Let's
lot
go.
of veterans need this.
Boy, are you good for this question. You're talking about expense and availability.
So I spoke to Doug Collins. Obviously, both he obviously pays for the VA, and we pay for Medicare, Medicaid, children's health insurance. Are very focused on the results that the NIH and FDA are going to offer us. We have a mechanism of creating models, CMMI. That might be the wise way to go because we can continue to study the impact. It is just such a massive shift in how you deliver care. Imagine instead of taking a pill a day for your depression, you go through one treatment, but you have to have people watching you. It's a very different world. So we're working that through. That's why the president, who I think this is the perfect step to get everything rolling, to deliver on the promise.
What's timing would you say on that, before you know?
Yeah.
We could have a CMMI model that we would announce by the end of this year. But the reason I'm not committing to that now is I want to make sure that the FDA and NIH have time, along with the great scientists, to give us a bit more information about how to deliver care. I'll give you one concrete example. For things like, well, Ibogaine is a little different story, but you wouldn't want two people in the room during the treatment. That's true for many of these approaches. That's a very different way of delivering medicine. And so the models that Abe Sutton runs that group for us, and he's done a great job for the president, that will be probably the fastest way of moving forward and give the VA data so they can make wiser decisions, because Doug Collins is very focused on this.
There's one thing I'd add. There's nothing more expensive right now than the mental health crisis in America. 21% of Americans have a diagnosable mental health condition. The second leading cause of death for young adults today is suicide. Wow. Mr. President, antidepressants right now are the most prescribed class of medications in the country. Over 20% of women are on an antidepressant.
And is that good in terms of do they work?
There's highly problematic research on the fact that over 20% of U.S. women are on these drugs that are prescribed for life. We have a mental health crisis. And
do they work?
No. They don't. Maybe I'm on a couple of them. And
I would not have.
We'll get you down to Mexico. We'll get you down to Mexico.
I said, okay, can I be next? But no, it is definitely an issue for women.
But, Mr. President, what you and Secretary Kennedy unlocked is, for the first time, questioning this system, where we spend 3 times more per capita than any other country in the world, and we are living 6-7 years less. We have the highest rates of suicide and depression in the developed world. The incentives of our system.
And by the way, autism, which we're really working hard on, right, Bob?
We have the highest rates
and
of
we're coming up with some pretty amazing findings.
And pediatric cancer is the highest rates in the world. We are struggling, and we're paying more than any other country, and the power of this executive order is really representative and gives validation to the cries of Maha moms and the votes of Maha moms, because for the first time it's taking a therapy that's one time. This is a one time, not a lifetime drug that can change someone's life, and that's the power, and I think that's why the system
So the
did not work.
antidepressants, all that we read about it or we prescribe to our military, they're not very effective?
It's a lifetime drug, and
Well, even if it's lifetime, but do they...
look at what's happened as we prescribed them and they made them one of the most prescribed
The
classes of
numbers are not
medication.
great.
This is
Perhaps
a,
I could jump in from the scientific side.
Thank you, Mr. President. What's the timeline for those?
She just wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think what's really important about your order is you include, we really want to understand why these rapid-acting treatments work. We need that for every treatment in mental health illnesses. Standard antidepressants in research, they do work for some people, but certainly not everyone. And if we think of cancer, all other conditions, we have a test to know which treatment
That's right.
is needed, and we don't have that for mental illness. It's guesswork.
This is tough.
So
With that, it either works or it doesn't work, and you have the result.
And so
With this, you don't
as
know.
part of this order, I think it's really important that we're able to have the investment to understand who does this work for, and the test to accompany that. So thank you for
Do you
making
think
that
this can be a big step above antidepressants, what we're doing?
I think it can be identifying who doesn't respond to an antidepressant straight away, rather than waiting for years. And
What
being
percentage
able
of people respond positively to antidepressants? How
20
much?
to 30%.
That's not great.
No.
That's not great. Well, thank you very much. Good question.
Mr. President, what's the timeline for those with mental health disorders, substance abuse disorders, to readily take advantage of this treatment based upon the executive order that you're signing today?
So I'd like to ask maybe Marty that question.
Sure. So first of all, right now it's available on clinical trials. We have not had applications in-house at the FDA. There was one that came in under the Biden administration. It was kicked out and not accepted. We now have 3 applications that are imminent, and we'll be issuing vouchers next week. The fastest FDA approval was 42 days during the HIV epidemic. On our national priority voucher program under President Trump, we are now down to that time frame on a routine basis instead of a year. In my opinion, we need the same level of urgency we had with HIV for PTSD and depression and anxiety in our mental health disorder, and cancer and heart disease and so many other conditions. So you're going to see decisions out from the FDA later this summer, as soon as we get the applications.
That's great. That's great.
And Mr. President,
I like that. I really like that answer.
thank you, Mr. President. And then in regards to the timing of the executive order, was there not enough known about this treatment a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 8 years ago to sign the executive order that you signed?
So do you want to answer that question? Go ahead.
I would just add, in 2016, the lead professor at Johns Hopkins said this was the most promising therapy that he's seen in his career, and many doctors from leading institutions said that. There's been a hold, there's been incentives against this, and it's the bravery and leadership of President Trump.
So you think artificial barriers?
It started, and this, to be clear, is starting a fast-track scientific process that's subject to FDA approval. But this has been known among leading institutions for many times as a very promising therapy.
So could it not have been signed in your first term, or there just wasn't enough information known about it?
Nobody told me about it, frankly. I got, all of a sudden, I've been getting a lot of calls. I think a lot, in all fairness, I think a lot's been learned over the last few
Can I
years.
just say that? I mean, a lot has been learned over the past few years. I think in the first term, if I was standing behind the president, I would have been much more comfortable than I am now, thanks to the research that's been done. I mean, still a lot more to do. It's worked for so many people. It's really a great move to do this, but the research is really important because we're going to keep improving, keep learning, and make sure that the people get the treatment they need when they are depressed, when they are addicted, when they have PTSD. We can keep doing the research and also acknowledge the research that's been done. That's when you get good health policy.
And Secretary Kennedy's role, he just doesn't stop. I mean, every day, all day long, until he gets these things done. This is not an easy boulder to push up the hill. And Secretary Kennedy was undaunted, and he'd been talking about it for a while, so he had a passion anyway. But his mentoring has allowed a lot of folks to move this quickly.
And
if I can, sorry. If I can jump in rapidly, because I was one of those doctors that was not supportive of psychedelic therapy because I thought it was magical thinking. But over the past 6 to 10 years, we have seen an emergence of data that we cannot ignore. These drugs have the capacity, as was mentioned before, with one single administration to change the behavior of someone towards a therapeutic effect. In animal models, one single administration recreates pathways that have been eroded because of pathology. So we have a tool that potentially could allow us to basically manipulate the ability of our own bodies to heal itself.